Okay, so this is a new thing on my show. Watch your screen right now in 3, 2, 1, 0.
Help! The server's down and the presentation is in 5 minutes.
Okay, just some little fun thing that I put in there. This title for today's show, Master the IT Hero Method and Lock Down Client Loyalty. This is very much part of what I do in my business, or a strategy in my business. And it happens fairly frequently. A client has called me, they're somewhat panicked, and this thing about the presentation is in 5 minutes, they haven't used exactly those words, but it has been on short time deadline. In fact, this last week, I had a client call me because he had his clients in his office and he couldn't get his documents open. So we may be talking more about that one today. But oftentimes my clients call me in a panic, and with various techniques that I've learned, oftentimes I solve the problem fairly easily and meet their deadline. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that at the beginning of the show, and that whole strategy and why I find that improves client loyalty, and also address the subject of some thought processes on the MSP side of IT support would say, in contrast to this, that the objective should really be to prevent mistakes from or prevent emergencies from happening. And yes, I do that. But it is solving the issue and taking away the stress from a client when they are in a panic situation. Because no matter how much preparation you do, there's still going to be emergency situations. So it's all about the client experience when those things happen. So like I said, I want to talk about that a little bit at the beginning of the show, and then we'll get into our normal interaction with the chat room and some topics that I have lined up for today. All right, so IT Hero Method. I've never called it a method before, but I suppose as I contemplate a little bit, I could actually draw out some steps. Do this and do this and do this. My clients know that they can call me and usually get straight through to me. They're calling to my cell phone. They know that they can call in whatever level panic mode that they're in, and I'm going to be calm, and I'm going to essentially be their rock. And I've had some clients say this to me: how can you be so calm? And they've told me that it's just reassuring to them when I interact with them in a calm, methodical way when those situations happen. When somebody's calling in a panic mode, very commonly they have misunderstood the situation. So they will come off right off the bat saying, my such and such is so and so, my domain is this or that, or my internet service, or my mouse is this or that. And very often they're wrong in their estimation. So I ask them questions. I ask them, what makes you think that? And they say, well, it tells me that on the screen. Okay, well, take a picture of that and send it to me by text. Sometimes I have to talk the person through how to do that, how to send a message by text. Can I do that while I'm on the phone? Well, usually yes. Sometimes in this last situation this week, no. The client called, and this is a good way, I guess, to illustrate this concept of the IT hero and dealing with clients when they're in a panic. He called me saying, my mouse isn't working. I turn it over and look at the bottom, and the red light that is supposed to be there is not there. Well, that's not always the case. Not all mice have a red light. This mouse is live right now and functional, but it doesn't have a red light. Now, I could delve into why that is, and I don't really know off the top of my head the differences between how the mice work. I don't care. But I wasn't accepting that his mouse was the actual problem. And Indeed, it was not. Now, as I'm talking this out loud, I'm realizing I actually had two issues this week. And the one with the mouse was different than the one that I was approaching talking to you about. But anyway, the one with the mouse, turned out his entire computer was locked up, frozen. I tried to connect to it remotely and it shows as offline, not available. So I asked him to take a picture, the bottom right corner of his screen, and there's the internet icon and it looks like he's connected to the internet. But I noticed something strange, and this is part of dealing with these situations. You got to stay calm and you've got to see the whole picture and be looking at everything that's there. I noticed the time on his clock looked suspicious because the time was showing a time prior to when the phone call came in to me. So I asked him, and once the picture came through, I asked him, well, what does the time show now on your screen? He looked at the screen. It was the exact same time as what the picture showed in his text message. I said, well, I think your computer's locked up and we need to turn it off and turn it on again. He said, well, I've done that. Oh, really? Have you? So what happened when you did that? He turned it off using the power button, turned it back on. It worked for a while. The mouse worked for a while. And then the mouse stopped working again. No, the computer locked up. So what we wound up discovering with that computer is it's got more of a problem, and here it is now. It's a Windows 10 computer. We've known that we're going to have to replace it, so we're just going to go ahead and take this opportunity to replace it. He has a second computer, and he can do everything except for QuickBooks on that second computer, and he can get along without that for a period of days. But my interactions with him is just very calm, methodical. We're going to figure out what's going on. It only took a few minutes to figure out there's a problem with the computer. So I told him, well, go ahead and force power it off again and turn it on again. So we did it 2 or 3 more times. I'm not sure how many. And it was very consistent. A few minutes of operation and then it would lock up. Hello, Muffin Man. I see there a gray name. That means that you're new around here. Welcome. Let's see. Well, the other one. Let's think that one through. Oh, the other one was an attorney's office. This one's a CPA. The attorney's office had clients at his desk to meet with him, and he couldn't open his documents, and he was reading the message on the screen. Let's see, what was it? Do I have that message? It was a strange message that I did not immediately recognize. I'm not sure if I ever got a picture of that one through. I think I did. Yeah, this must be it. Let's check. Let's see. Make sure server files documents is running on your PC, then try again. Can't open this file. He's trying to open a file in Microsoft Word. Make sure server files -documents is running on your PC, then try again. I had a pretty good idea that that's probably his file share because we have all their content moved to the cloud now because this attorney is retiring, in the process of retiring. There's rarely anybody in his office. He had just come into his office to meet with these clients. And surprise, there's a problem. He came into his office, his computer's up and running, looks okay. In Microsoft Word, he can go to File Open, see his list of files, but when he tries to actually open a file, it was trying to download from the file share in the cloud, and that wouldn't work. I tried connecting remotely to his computer. His computer showed as available for me to connect to, but it wouldn't make the connection. It tried to make the connection, showed up in my Log Me and Rescue screen as connecting and never got any further. So I wound up going out to his office. Now he had the clients right there. So here's another key thing about dealing with emergency situations. See the bigger picture. And there's a ton of little techniques that I can't offload them all on on this episode. So I talk about these kind of things at various different points through any of my shows at any point during my show. So if you're an IT pro and you want to treat this channel as continuing education, that's what I intend for it to be, then you will pick up things like this here and there. So bigger picture, I know he's got a client in his office and I can see that this is going to take a little more doing. We tried restarting the internet router. We could see that he was connected to the internet, meaning he was connected to his network, but it looked like the internet was not working. And the basic things we tried did not salvage the problem. So let's see, can we salvage this problem for you? I can open the document that you want here on my computer because I have access to his cloud storage and send you a picture by text of the document that you need. He says, yes, that would be helpful. So I did that. That got him a little bit further along into his conference with his client. Didn't get him as far as he really, really needed, but it did what we could do. There was also, we could have taken that one step further in getting him access from his iPad to that document, but his iPad was also not working through the internet. Well, the next option there would have been to turn off Wi-Fi on his iPad and or his cell phone so that those devices would only be going through cell towers. And yes, his iPad had access to, had internet access through cell towers, had a service plan for that. So he could have got that document onto his iPad. He wound up choosing instead to reschedule the clients. I went out there immediately. I was out to his office, just the travel time. Once we hung up the phone, it took about 20 minutes to get there. And what we found is that there was a problem with Comcast. I called Comcast from his office. They tested the line, said it's not a stable connection. It's up and down and up and down. So from our side, it looked like it was connected, yet I could not ping DNS servers because I tried that. I think they came through a little bit, but certainly not working properly. Same experience on Wi-Fi. Restart the router, no better. They Comcast gave us options of what to do for next steps, and we accepted the option of scheduling an appointment for a technician to come out 2 days forward. We could have got a technician out the next day, but to do that, we would have had to call him back the next morning and schedule, which was a weird thing. Why can't we schedule for tomorrow today? But no, he said you have to call back tomorrow morning in order to schedule a 2-hour emergency response time. Ugh. But that was okay because he's not in his office every day and he can fully work from home. He's set up for that. So anyway, the end result of that is I met the technician there on Thursday this last week. He did some testing and found there was an upstream problem. It was not a problem with my client's router. It was further up the line. He called another technician out. That other technician came out within an hour. I didn't need to be there for that, and they got the system fixed. But again, my client, very appreciative that he can call, get through to me, and I'll be calm and manage the problem for him. Okay. Now, on the topic of master the IT hero method, for clients to be able to call and get the solution and be confident and comfortable that they're going to get the solution, they're going to be able talk with you in their level of frustration. You're going to be able to gently pull out the information that you need without getting frustrated back at them. They will commonly misinterpret, misunderstand, and misperform your instructions. So you've got to give the specifics and instructions. You got to ask them, did you do such and such, in a calm voice that is not threatening. All right, that's enough there. That squeak, that squeaky toy means there is a, what do you call it? Read chat, please message. Now let's go this way. There's chat messages, and I didn't do my read chat please button yet. How do I want to do this? And let's turn on topic crawl. There's no topics listed yet, so I'll take that off. Live participants crawl. I've got a crawl down on the bottom of the screen. And then I'll just scroll to the bottom. There's a squeaky toy. Have you heard of yellow key exploit for BitLocker? Yes, I have. And as a matter of fact, let's see, go there. Why is that skipping like that? Move up should go up one line. There it goes. Yeah. Yes, it did. And somebody sent through, I think it was an email. Let's go find that. Let's throw some points at Jeff for that. Now I'm seeing that crawl there. Don't like that there. If I turn that participants crawl off and turn the panel on, it's up in the top right. So I've got a few other things that I experimented with on that. Now, wait a minute. Ken the Stout, why is that there? That was my test stream. That shouldn't be there like that. Check this live. Those are the wrong things. Huh. Yeah, Ken the Stout, that's my test channel for Ken. Uses the name Ken without permission. All right, so I know you're seeing a weird thing now. Just hang on a minute. The screen is black. The screen is black. I know that. I need to do, if I do that, and then I try to refresh the cache for those two. Will that fix it? This is part of the new adjustments that I've been doing. So that'll take a minute for that to come back on screen. Yellow key exploit. Where did somebody send something through to me? What was that? Where? Not that one, not that one. Yeah, somebody sent through the Dave's Garage video on that. And I did some research on that. It does not directly affect me. That's curious. I thought I had lined that up. Ah, yeah, there's some proper names coming up now. Yeah, Greg M. sent an email through that. I got that flagged for one of my email labels, but I flagged it to the wrong label. Let's go get it flagged for today properly. Yeah, Greg M sent an email, Dave's Garage's YouTube, a short video about the BitLocker exploit. If somebody has physical access to the computer, they can gain access to BitLocker volumes. I did a conversation in Gemini about it. So let me go bring that up. Let's do a search for, I might as well be showing you how I maneuver through this. If I search for yellow, that should get to it. YouTube thumbnail, AT router yellow port. No, that's too old. May 21st, yesterday. YouTube video about a BitLocker exploit. Yeah, so that should be it. Take that off screen for a moment and just check and be sure I didn't. Yeah, I don't think I put anything in there. So this is something from a YouTube video. Oh, transcript. So I went to Dave's garage and took a transcript of the video, asking Gemini what you think about it. In his video, he said that it was for TPM only configuration. I thought, what does that mean? What is the instance where it is not of concern? I wonder, is TPM only meaning it's just the local TPM and not a Microsoft account? So I found no, that signing into Microsoft account, that vulnerability is still there. The default TPM only configuration basically means you're not adding something else, meaning you don't have a password on your CMOS setup that would prevent somebody from being able to enable boot capability from a USB drive, because they'd have to be able to boot from a USB drive, or perhaps something else like one of those YubiKeys, meaning something else beyond the TPM. If it's just TPM, then it would be an issue. Now, it is conceivable that I could be impacted by that if I have clients who have laptop computers that are using encryption and they travel with them, and we have high security implementations involved. I only have one office who has that level of high security implementations involved. He does have 2 laptops, but he does not travel with them. They stay stationary at his office or at his secondary home on the coast. Now, yeah, that could be a situation where somebody gets their hands on that computer. They could decrypt that drive. Well, his data that's important is not stored on that drive anyway. It's all stored in the office server. And the criminal isn't going to be able to actually boot Windows on that computer. They can get access to the files that are on that computer. Well, we specifically don't have files stored on that computer that are considered high security. Still, could there be something there? Yeah, but you're getting into such minor margins now that this is not a red alert to me. Okay. Now, something I didn't get to ask yet, or didn't think to ask, was this released to the public in non-responsible manner, meaning the person who revealed this vulnerability did not responsibly first inform Microsoft about the vulnerability? That's something I hadn't got around to asking yet. And I got the impression that maybe it was not released responsibly. It should be a little bit surprising because Microsoft pays. Yes, that is exactly what happened. The release of the yellow key exploit is what the cybersecurity industry calls Full disclosure or a 0-day drop means a vulnerability was released directly to the public without giving the vendor Microsoft advance notice or time to patch it first. So this was a serious evildoer. Here's the breakdown of how and why the disclosure happened. A deliberate 0-day drop. The researcher operating under the aliases Nightmare Eclipse or Chaotic Eclipse entirely bypassed the standard coordinated vulnerability disclosure process. Instead of privately submitting the bug to Microsoft Security Response Center and waiting for a patch, they published the exact exploit instructions and proof of concept files directly to GitHub and their personal blog on May 12th. So May 12th, 4 days ago. The researcher's motivation. This uncoordinated release wasn't an accident. It was an intentional protest. The researcher was highly frustrated with how Microsoft had handled their previous vulnerability reports earlier in the year. Thank you, Ken Stout. I see the gift. Earlier in the year, Nightmare Eclipse had submitted other serious Windows flaws, which they named Blue Hammer and Red Sun. According to the researcher, Microsoft either initially dismissed the reports or silently patched them, meaning Microsoft fixed the issues in routine updates without issuing public security advisories or CVEs or properly crediting the researcher for the discovery. I understand why he's upset. So he's turning around and slapping Microsoft's hands. The fallout. Because of this breakdown in trust, the researcher decided they were done playing by Microsoft's rules. They dropped the yellow key directly to the public to force Microsoft's hand. While this tactic successfully shined a massive spotlight on the flaw, it is considered highly controversial and non-responsible by industry standards. I absolutely agree with that. Does his frustration warrant doing something like this? Oh man, you could assign me which side of the argument you want me to argue on, and I could argue it. It immediately left everyday users, corporations, and IT departments exposed to active exploitation, forcing them to scramble for manual mitigations, like enforcing pre-boot pins, or locking down all the laptops. Bring your laptop into the office. You're not allowed to travel with it until this is resolved, while waiting for Microsoft to engineer an official security patch. Yeah, the bad guys have to get their hands on the laptop. So somebody who is sophisticated enough to do this, to use this exploit, is going to be committing a very serious and very consequential criminal act in stealing a laptop that has target information, that has a high enough payoff to risk getting caught stealing the laptop, getting caught with the laptop in your hands, getting caught with whatever you do with that content afterwards. That's going to be a serious action. All right, so that is there any topics? Is anybody submitting topics on that? If you want to respond on that topic, type a 1 space and then whatever your comment is, and we'll call that topic 1 for Yellow Jacket. So that's a new participation scroll at the bottom. And that one does not have a background. It was supposed to have a background, but it came out without a background. So I decided to leave it like that because that's kind of a not too intrusive. If I turn off the crawl and turn on the panel, now there's the separators for the current stream points and the total stream points. And you still don't have the correct totals because I have not yet done the coding to pull in the points that you earned when your channel name was different. Jim says 11 a.m. Oh, that would imply that he's got some kind of a comment at 11 a.m. So I'll go look at that. and bring this up and go to scroll to the bottom. And there's Jim. Move up one, and then I'll spotlight Jim. So now I'm seeing his content only. Probably overheating on that computer. Well, that's a reasonable suspicion. I will give you one piece of information that I haven't said yet that kind of resists that. Is I booted that computer to a USB thumb drive from Acronym Reflect, and I performed a full image backup, and that worked perfectly. Now that's not perhaps as stressful as actually running Windows. So if there is something that is at a very early level, not very stressful, then that might be it. Now he said first post at 11. Oh yeah. Have all your fares in order, boys and girls. The apocalypse is close at hand. I'm on time. All right. Let's go. Let's see, I've got to highlight one of his, and I'll give you the laugh out loud points for that. There's conversation back and forth between Jim and Jeff. It astounds me how people are still technically challenged in 2026. That's probably when I was referring to talking them through how to do things. And probably overheating. Okay. So then if I go to, does this still, I don't think I ever got around to removing the DougBot stuff. Top of the screen says it's DougBot filtered, and I don't see any DougBot in there. So maybe that's all gone. So rather than go looking through in chat to pick out things, I want to try to not do that anymore. If you got a topic that you want to bring up, do the number, space, and then whatever your issue is, preferably instead of read chat, please. And then what I'm going to turn to now then is the things that I have stored up, flagged for today. And the first one that came in was also Greg M. Let's see. So Greg M was also the yellow jacket. Let's go see if Greg is in chat. If I go to here, I think I have found that I can do this. Search for Greg. Yes, Greg. That was me, the email and BitLocker. So if I go down here, I'm going to give you 1,000 points for that one. And then we're going to do another 1,000 points for this one that I'm about to go to that Greg sent. Because that wasn't the only thing he sent. Oh, no, not sent. His other one was a comment on last week's video. So yeah, and that's worthy of the points too. So let's go over here. Can I turn? Let's see what adjustments I can make here. All right, that's good enough. Turn off that crawl for a little bit. Response to last week's video, I delved into the custom instructions further and found out that in the free version of Gemini, there's a restriction of 2,000 characters in the instructions. And this was instructions that you can give Gemini in a personal account. I can't do it on my business account. In a personal account, whether it's free or paid, you can give it instructions that it will remember from one chat session to another. I wish I could do that. Not available in the business version. That's what I get for paying money. It also has restrictions on what can be put into settings, personal context, instructions. That's how you get to it. I found as a starting point in the pre-made series of instructions, which was over 8,000 characters and included some forbidden items, verboten items. It's the word forbidden, for those who don't know. This resulted in not a misspelling, it's a valid word. This resulted in very informative message. Something went wrong. 13. Informative, right. Tried to save a bunch of commands. According to Gemini, the personal context database has strict security triggers. Your text is being rejected for 3 specific reasons. Tool reference violations. I want to set this up a little differently. I'm going to pop this out so that I don't have to be turning sideways for all of this. Oops, did that wrong. Okay, and come back over here. Tool reference violations. You have explicit mentions of tools like web search and open search results. Gemini's security filters for personal context often block these because they look like an attempt to hijack the model's internal functions by using prompt injection. Prompt injection, and there's another word for it, SQL injection, is that the right? Is where in some kind of an input field you put unusual specific characters that in a SQL search isn't the right word. SQL injection environment, it basically kind of a escape command, a way to get into to execute a command rather than just provide the normal text information that you're supposed to be providing there. So it looks like prompt injection attempt. So that's why they block it. Length, the text you provide is roughly 3,800 characters. The personal context field typically caps out at 2,000 characters. I think that is for the free version, because I think Greg already implied that. Code syntax, the use of backticks and XML tags, and example, they're putting the word example between these greater than and less than symbols. Those look like XML tags. It is often restricted in settings fields to prevent database errors. Gemini provided me, this is Greg talking now, Gemini provided me with some text to use instead. So when he told, or I guess when Gemini gave all this information, maybe he had to ask for its advice, or maybe it just gave its advice. It provided me with some text to use instead, which was about 800 characters. That was what I was thinking as I was reading through this, is give this to a normal Gemini chat and tell it to reword that to accomplish the same meaning in less than 2,000 words. Or, well, I thought he said, 3,800 characters was. Yeah, less than 2,000 words. But it looks like it automatically did that for him. Came down to 800 characters. In the instructions box, when you paste your instructions, you wind up with a input box with a bunch of wraparound text, and that cannot be helped. So I guess that wasn't really a problem. Maybe it just looked weird on screen. What is strange is that I have a trial Kagi Pro, which provides a front end to several AI LLMs, including Google Gemini Flash 3 and Kagi or Kagi, whatever it is, assistant, had no issues with accepting my 8,000 plus pre-made instructions. I would attribute that to, all AI models are unique, different. They set up their own rules. It might work in one and not work in another. And this pre-made text that Greg had found somewhere, apparently it was not made specifically for Gemini personal free version in the instructions area. So this is Greg providing a report of what he found. Thank you very much for that, Greg. I already awarded points for that. And that's just another piece of learning. As I told you last week, my method is I have all of my instructions saved into Google Docs, and every time I start a new chat, I add whichever files that I want to use for the context for that session. For most of my coding work, that means I have 5 context files that I provide, because there's one of generic AI instructions that I use for all of my AI chats. There's another one that I use for coding directives, another one that I use for my chat database specifically for that project, and a couple others that I don't remember right now. Yeah, it's not worth trying to tell you what those other ones are. Now let's go look at the replies before we go look at that next comment. I replied to Greg, thanks for sharing those findings. Very helpful information to know. Suggestion, drag the 8,000 character file into Gemini prompt. See if it will accept the directives that way. Yeah, you could use that whole 8,000, just drag it into a prompt or store it in a file and drag that file into your prompt. But you have to do that every time you start a new chat. Then ask Gemini to rewrite the file. Yeah, I said that. Limiting to 2,000 characters, and try submitting that to the personal context field, but he already did that. It already did suggest the 800, so I'd say he's got that covered. I don't think I've read this yet. I also experienced, this is Greg replying back to me, I also experienced yet again what Gemini refers to as handshake desync, where you enter text only to have the text disappear and be ignored. What you are experiencing is a known handshake desync affecting Gemini users throughout early 2026. This bug causes your messages to be processed by the server, often appearing in your Google My Activity logs, but they fail to render or stick in the actual chat UI, making it appear as if you are being ignored. Now, I have not come across that issue myself, and I do recall now that I had already read it but not replied to it. Yeah, so this is one that I have not experienced. Throughout early 2026, we're still in the first half of 2026, causes your messages to be processed by the server. They fail to stick in the UI. But does it actually respond? Handshake desync, enter text, disappear and be ignored. I have had situations where I will have something that is feeling sketchy, like it's not going to work right, and I will copy. If I have some text a prompt that I've typed that I think is at risk, I will copy it so that I could, again, later paste it if I think it's at risk, or if it's long and I just don't want to risk it. Now let's go see what that squeaky toy was. Ah, Catherine's here. Hello, Catherine. Good to see you. Baldy, 1141. So I'm going to clear spotlights, add Baldy as a spotlight, and then show just his content and scroll to bottom. And he says at 1141. Oh, Lee Huxman. Oh, I saw Lee. I caught a recent episode of Ken Stout Live. There's a plug, Ken Stout. Good time for you to put in a link to your channel. Lee Huxman. I saw Lee. Should be made a mod. He's a regular Zoom homie attendee, or is that a negative thing? Was it a negative thing to be a Zoom attendee? No, not at all. Let's go do that. So I cannot do that in this chat overlay. And if I didn't, some people are sensitive to the bright white screen that I like. So I'll take that off screen and go pop out chat. There's Lee Huxman. Add as moderator. Welcome aboard, Lee. That's standard moderator. Not one of those weird ones like Ken Stout is. Yeah, I see a bunch of conversation from Lee. Awesome. Okay, then I'm going to go on to another comment. And here, let's do, now I'm going to take a little bit of diversion here and try something. The participants in the upper right corner, I've got some changes here. If I change the background to dark, the text to bright, text to colored, text to normal, I think a background light, background medium, background dark. That was actually not bad. Scott Messerschmidt, his name is so long that it made it do a line wrap. That's interesting. Okay. And if I put the live participants on the crawl, there's just so many there that it goes across real fast. That doesn't look that kind of looks distractive. When there's fewer people, then the crawl might work, or I slow the crawl down. Okay, so video link, I just took a link, and so then I'm going to reply to, whoops, get the mouse on the right screen here, reply to Portia X, asks, what are your thoughts on the large consumption of water and other resources used by AI? Look forward to hearing your perspective. And I'll just say out here, I replied to your comment at this point in today's live stream. Thank you for making the comment and asking the question. And then click reply. So large consumption of water and other resources like chips and memory and power, all that. Yeah, I thought about a few ways that I would respond to that. I don't want to take a lot of time on this. First, it's not my battle. I am on the demand side of this. I want to use AI. I fully expect it to increase in costs over future years, because I expect that the providers of the AI services are going to have to do things to make up for their costs to the world at large, to the environment, to economic markets. I don't see any reason at all that this would be a reason to not use AI. If you're going to say that these costs are a reason to not use AI, then you should also not drive a car, not own a car, because automobiles cost in terms of lives, that people get killed, they get injured, they get financial consequences because of the cost of having automobiles. Everything in our lives has pros and cons, has costs and benefits, and AI, that's true too. And it's commonly the case that the greater benefit that something is bringing to you, the higher the costs are. I'm going to leave working all that out to the politicians and the activists and the environmentalists, and whatever they come up with, I'm fine with. So that's about all of my reaction to that. Okay, now I have other things lined up. Let's see if anybody's brought up a topic. Nope, no topic showing yet, unless that topic crawl is not working right. But I don't think anybody's has established a topic. The way you establish a topic is type a single digit number, space, and then whatever your question is, whatever your issue is. You don't have to title it. If you put a title between quotes, that will become the title for the topic. And I'm trying to not go back to chat and just randomly scroll through trying to pick out topics, because sometimes people put stuff in there that they want me to address. You're going to have to use my new systems because I'm trying to make the show more productive and efficient. All right, so that one was Greg. So his was the first of 9 messages. Now that squeaky toy means that there's a read chat, please. Go see what that is before I get started in the new topic. 1141, is that current? No, that's old. Let's go. Oh, I got to get out of the spotlight for Baldy. Scroll to bottom. Established a topic. Okay, Greg M says he established a topic and it's not showing up there. Okay, so let me go hit topic 1. Yes, there's topic 1. Oh, look at that. There are 2 topics. All right, so I'm going to first take a little diversion to fix what's going on. Can I show you this? Let's see. It would be, oh, in OBS. I'm going to, while I'm hunting around to see if I can show it to you. Yeah, I think your screen's going to go black. Yeah, topic crawl, your screen is black. Don't adjust your TV. Yeah, looks like that's what it was. And did that? I don't know if that came out or not, whether you were seeing that. So here to the topic, the title for topic 2, Gemini does not follow instructions. That's a little bit long for a topic title. Yeah, so let's just go look and see what we get. So we've got first topic 1, untitled. If you're handling FINRA, HIPAA, etc. data, these regulations call for all data to be encrypted at rest, in transit, or while being processed. I got this question wrong on a quiz. Absolutely, that's true. I have one client, and that's the one that I referred to, that has a laptop in his office and at his remote location, and he does not travel with the laptops. But all the laptop is encrypted, but his laptop doesn't store data. Where the data is stored is encrypted as well. This question does not specify that if there is a known vulnerability, known zero-day vulnerability that was released to the public irresponsibly, that it does not specify what you have to do for that question. It might be specified somewhere else. So John Downey is saying, you got that question wrong on a quiz. Really? So I'm wondering how the question was worded. If the question was worded, if you are handling FINRA, HIPAA, or similar data, do you have to have the data encrypted when the computer is at rest, in transit, or while being processed? And you said no. Now, while being processed, that might be the kicker. At rest would be obvious yes. In transit would be an obvious yes. Transit meaning not carrying the laptop. Transit there should be meaning while it's being transmitted over, over the internet, over Wi-Fi, over a network. Definitely being transit. Now, while you have it on your screen, you have a document on your screen that is stored encrypted. While it is visible on your screen, is it encrypted? You're processing it, right? You're typing, you're working on it. What does the word process mean? If you're logged onto your computer and you're working, if you walk away from your desk and you come back, or you walk away from your desk, somebody else walks up to your computer, is that encrypted or is it visible? It's visible. So all three of those, while being processed, has to be encrypted. I've got it. See, I haven't done the study notes for that. I don't know, what do they mean about being processed? Because that's where I would maybe get it. Oh, wait a minute. Did you get it wrong by saying, yes, it has to be encrypted at rest, in transit, or being processed, but the correct answer was no, because it does not have to be encrypted while it's actively on the screen? Yeah, I don't know. So let's go see what else he has said. While being processed was the kicker, I thought it would be unencrypted to use. So no, he's saying it has to be encrypted while in use. Well, now you got to ask, well, what does that mean? Because if you're looking at the document on the screen and you can't read it, it's useless. So what do they mean by in use or processed? I don't know. Kind of tempted to stay on this topic a little bit longer. Let's try this. So I'm doing screenshot here. Copy all that and come into a new Gemini session. A chat room participant brought this subject up. Come on. Sometimes that doesn't work right. A chat room participant brought this subject up. I'm wondering, what does it mean while processing? It doesn't do me any good if the document on screen is not readable because it's encrypted on the screen. So what does that test question mean about while being processed? Might as well find out. Completely understandable. Let's go make a couple adjustments here. Completely understandable why a chat participant got the question wrong. Their logic makes perfect sense on a human level. You're absolutely right. If a doctor or financial advisor needs to read the document on the screen, it has to be decrypted for their eyes. However, the confusion comes up mixing human readability with machine processing. When cybersecurity regulations like HIPAA, talk about encrypting data while being processed, known as data in use, they are not talking about what happens on the user's monitor. They are talking about what happens deep inside the computer's hardware, specifically in the CPU, processor, and RAM memory. Here's a breakdown of what that text question actually means. 3 states of data. To understand the quiz, you have to look at 3 states data can be in. Data at rest, stored on a hard drive or database, encrypted. Someone steals the physical hard drive, they can't read it. In transit, moving across the internet or a network. So if somebody intercepts the signal, it looks like gibberish. Data in use, which is processing. Data currently being read, updated, calculated by the system's RAM or CPU. So it's got to be encrypted in RAM. The problem with processing, historically, data in use was a weak link. Even if data was safely encrypted on the hard drive and safely encrypted over the internet, server eventually had to decrypt it into its RAM to actually do anything with it, like searching a database, updating a patient's address, or calculating interest. If a hacker A piece of malware or even malicious server administrator managed to take a snapshot of the computer's RAM while it was working. They could steal the raw, unencrypted data. How you encrypt data while being processed. To solve this, the tech industry developed ways to keep data encrypted even while in the computer's brain is working on it. The quiz is likely referring to these modern technologies. This makes sense. So you have to know what the test question means in that context. And if you've gone through the study materials, I presume you would know that. Confidential computing, secure enclaves. Modern processors like those from Intel AMD can create tiny hardware locked vaults called enclaves right on the chip. The data is decrypted only inside this microscopic physical vault to be processed and is immediately re-encrypted before it leaves. The server's operating system, other apps, and even the server administrator cannot look inside this vault. Homomorphic encryption. This is a highly advanced mathematical technique where a computer can perform calculations on scrambled data without ever decrypting it. For example, the server can calculate A plus B equals C, while A and B are completely encrypted, and the result C remains encrypted until the authorized user downloads it. The takeaway. The quiz question was getting at the idea of zero trust in highly regulated fields like finance and healthcare. You cannot just protect data when it's sitting still or moving. You must use hardware, software safeguards to ensure it remains encrypted, isolated, even when servers actively crunching the numbers. The screen you look at is the final destination for an authorized user, but processing happens long before that. Got it. All righty. Now let's go back and see if there's anything more on that topic 1. Nope. Topic 2. Gemini does not follow instructions. Now I said that topic is a little bit, if we had 2 topics that are that long, it's not going to fit very well. So I'm just going to experiment with this. If I say, let's see, this lets me change it to Gemini not follow instructions. That way? Yeah, that looks like a more palatable length. And it changed immediately down at the bottom of the screen. And let me see what happens when I mess with that background. Oh, yellow shows up good. Oh, and there's a 5. There's a topic 5, it looks like. Let's see, dark doesn't overcome the taskbar. Text normal, bright. I kind of like that gold. So here's what we got from Greg. Gemini does not follow instructions. I have instructions for prompt for Gemini, and it does not adhere to all the instructions. It will preface google.com/search to the links that are dead. I told Gemini to verify the links. I have come across a similar thing. And we have come up with, I think, Greg, let's get him, throw him some more points, right? I don't think I gave him points for this topic. Oops, I got to actually, there. Then I think that'll throw him points. Or did I actually do it twice? He might have actually got double points right there. I'm not sure yet. Ask for it in a code block. Ask for it to try doing that. Maybe you can even do that during the stream here. if you go to some place where you're having that problem, ask it to give you the links in a code block and see if that works better. And then also have you followed up and said, that doesn't work for me because of such and such and so and so. I need you to give it to me in a way that it does not preface that google.com search. How can I ask for this from you to get the results that I want? Rather than, I don't know if Greg, if you're trying to come up with your own strategies to get it to do with you what you want. Tell it, this didn't give me what I want because of such and such and so and so. How can I ask you this question differently in order to get that? And then once you get that right, ask it to give you text. Let's see, I told it not to do that and it did it again. I need the exact text of what instructions you gave it, because just saying don't do that again, nah, it's not specific enough. Copy and paste exactly what you told it into the chat if you can. But anyway, once you get to an instruction that works, then copy paste that into your context document or your instructions, whichever way you are going to go about it, to get it to always do that for you in the future anytime that is giving you links. But I have also had it come up with links that are dead or invalid. And I've gone through that trying to resolve it. And I think one of the workarounds was to give me a Google search term that will come up with the right links. And yeah, I've seen troubles with that too. Gemini is a work in progress. All AIs are a work in progress. We are the beta testers. Some people might say we are the alpha testers. Now Gemini does not follow instructions. I have to push back on that. There are certain circumstances where it may not follow your instructions. But to just say Gemini does not follow instructions, that statement sounds like a blanket statement, like it never follows instructions. I remembering a certain person in my past. You never listen. Yes, I do. Just didn't listen to you then. Or yes, I was listening. I just chose not to do what you said. You're not the boss of me. Gemini does follow instructions. Doesn't always get them right. But in my experience, it gets it right way more often than not. And the things that it gets right are useful enough to make up for the things that it doesn't get right. Sorry, but when I tell it to verify, yeah, it does not verify links because it is not clicking on your computer. When it verifies links, it is verifying them from where it is, if it does anything. It cannot click a link on your computer. So how it's going to react, the link's going to react on your computer is different than anything that it does. When I tell it to verify links and it knows the links are dead and simply gives me search criteria, if I wanted to search, I would not be using Gemini. Wow, that's really limiting. You really have a short view of what Gemini can do for you. That is beyond just doing a basic search. I don't know. I have. Oh, I know. Here's where the links have been really bad for me, is when I ask it for links for Amazon purchases. They generally never work. So I ask it, give me a search criteria for Amazon. And that is far better for it to give me the search term for Amazon than for me to make it up on my own. It's definitely saving me time. Now that topic crawl. Oh, 5. Let's go see what's in topic 5. Got to get rid of the red dot. There's topic 5. Wazo. That's not a troll comment. He's not just being a troll. I'm not remembering was. Can you give me a little bit more to trigger my memory? Still working on it. Was that the cybersecurity thing you're doing? I think it is. Yes. Refer to it as a Wazoo adventure. We talked about that last week. I don't think I have anything new on it. Why are you bringing that in as a topic? Do you have something to say? Oh, I see down at the bottom of the screen, I'm missing my programmed things here. You see where it says untitled 2 of 2? That means there's 2 unread out of 2 messages. And topic number 3, there's 3 unread out of 3. And topic 2, there's 3 unread out of 4. And that's because for them to be considered read, that they've been read, I actually have to highlight them. Now that changes it to 0 of 3. And he says, still working on it. And yes. Yes to what? Yes, comma, I'm just generally working on it, or yes, comma, that is what I was referring to, or yes, comma, I don't know. I said something and you were responding yes to that specific something. I got no idea what specific something you're saying yes to. Gotta give me more. So let's go over here and clear these, move down. Yeah, we covered those. And then topic 2, move down. And then I had a 35 reply in Gemini, and I just gave up with the topic. If there's been 35 replies at that point, I'm asking it to give me a handoff prompt to give me sufficient information to restart this in a new chat. 35 replies is kind of long, but my prompts and replies are pretty long. It contains a lot of screenshots, a lot of documents, a lot of code. Gave up with the topic. I told it it has short-term memory issues. Oh, I often chew it out. I'll get really irate. I told it has short-term memory issues since I repeated something that I told it was wrong 10 minutes ago. I'd be really curious, can I try your topic? Are you able to give me enough so that I can demonstrate how I would deal with the issue? Now, I might not get any better results, but I'd be happy to try it. If you can give me enough of an opening line that I could pursue the subject and see what I come up with, and maybe techniques that I use may be useful to you. Maybe not. I don't know. But happy to try it. Going back and look at my emails to see. Oh, yeah, we got scam emails received by Ken Stout and myself that looked, we were scratching our heads upon first receipt thinking that this could be legit. So let me get to the first of these. Yeah, that is what's next. So I'm going to arrange this a little bit and show you my first exposure to this came from Ken Stout. Is that ready to come on screen? Yeah. There's another one on topic 5 and a new message on topic 2. I'm going to go ahead and get this topic rolling. If somebody wants to start a topic 3 on the fishing expedition, would be a good title to it. So Ken Stout sent a message saying, I wanted to see if you think this is real or not. The homies and I seem to think it is a fishing expedition. If you don't know what the homies are, then go check out, if Ken Stout put in a link to his channel. They are there every day 365 days a year or more. Yes, it's more because sometimes it's more than once a day. Great community there. Great little community that you got there, Ken. Shame if something happened to it, such as growing. Okay, so he got a message on May 14th, 2 days ago, from Robert Hall Bow, Columbia Center 3199 at Gmail, wrote, "Hello there, KStoutZ00M. I was recently made aware that multiple pieces of my content have been used in uploads on your channel without permission. I'd appreciate your attention to this matter when you have a moment. I've already consulted with people who handle situations like this to get guidance on the matter. I prefer to resolve this directly and avoid unnecessary complications. Thank you for your time and understanding." So I looked over this and I replied to Ken with a pretty thorough write-up about it. My first impression was it might be legitimate. And the things that caused me to think it might be legitimate is there's no links. A phishing email usually has links in it for you to do something. So the only thing you could possibly do is reply to this email. Now, when the person replies back, what are they going to reply with? It might then be more easily verifiable as a phishing attempt. But then when I started looking deeper into this, and among those deeper things is I did do a YouTube search and a Google search for Columbia Center, found nothing relevant. I also did a search for Robert Hall Bow with and without spaces and found nothing. But the things within the email itself that are red flags, yellow flags at least, is Columbia Center 3199. Having those numbers, that looks like it's a bot-generated email address. It's a Gmail address, and that's very commonly where bots will go to generate a massive number of email addresses. Imagine what it would take for a person to go to Gmail and create a new email address and decide this is what I want for my email address, because when I'm talking to business associates or friends, I think telling them my email address is columbiacenter3199@gmail.com is an easy, convenient thing to do. And I like the name. No, highly unlikely. And the next thing, if this person had looked at any of Ken Stout's content whatsoever, would anybody then create Robert, that sounds like a he. Would they likely create an email saying, "Hello there," and then use the first portion of Ken's email address, which is essentially what that is? KStoutZ00M. That's the first part of his email address. If they watched any of his content, wouldn't they say, "Hi, Ken," or "Hello there, Ken"? This is something a bot would do, an automated algorithm. Not an AI. You don't need AI to generate something like this. It's an algorithm, a bot, robot. The text is reasonably worded, so I didn't see anything in the grammar or sentence structure that threw up red flags, but that's not a big deal. They can get better with that. They have gotten better with that, the bad guys. And then the signing off, Robert Hall Bow, no spaces between what's presumably three names. I say three names because they're capitalized. Middle name Hall, last name Bow. Really? A little weird. So those are things that were, it doesn't feel like it. Then to move along, what happened next in this saga? I think this will be fairly the next thing. just taking a quick glance through my text that said, see if yeah, it looks like it did everything there. And I said my first thoughts, my first write-up was along these lines. Reply with a simple, what's your YouTube channel? I'll take a look. Don't bother writing anything long and complex. If he replies with a link other than YouTube channel address, then blacklist him. If it could be a small, inexperienced YouTube channel that feels like you're offending using their content. If it was a substantially revenue generating YouTube channel, they would probably just report you rather than reaching out. If you recognize this channel as something you've used, I think a simple apology and promise not to promote their channel anymore would be enough. Maybe even offer to promote their channel with approval or collaborate in some way would turn to a win-win. Either way would be better than him reporting you to YouTube. Claiming to have consulted people who handle situations like this sounds like an inexperienced person trying to flex his muscles. If it's a novice scanner, they're thinking you might have enough personal assets they can squeeze you for a couple $100, at which point you can cut them off. Don't lose any sleep over it. I absolutely do not suggest, was not suggesting that he take this path. This was what I was replying, and I was just telling him my first thoughts was this, because I didn't immediately jump to recognizing it as a scam until I thought closer about it. Now, next thing that happened. Here we go. May 15th, yesterday, 10:49 a.m. From this person, Stephen Davis Ta. Similar name structure. First name, middle name that sounds like a last name, and then a two-letter last name. In some cultures, the name in the last position is not what we think of as the last name. Again, a similar weird email address with a 4-digit number. It's a Gmail address. Notice that my Gmail actually flagged this as spam. Over here, security alerts in Gmail to help protect your personal information. Gmail alerts you when an email seems like spam. So my Gmail account recognizes it as spam, but delivered to me anyway because I have a rule that says anything that is addressed to DougBetts at Live Windows Training gets delivered. Good day, DougBetts. Again, using the actual name from my email address, not what a person would do. No space after the comma. I'm reaching out directly about your uploaded material. I'd like to know why my materials were included without crediting their source. I've already talked this through with the right people, so I'd be grateful if you could look into this as soon as possible. I get a link. My evildoer gave me a link. That tells us something. If the link above is not clickable, please copy and paste it into your browser's address bar. I await your reply. Regards. Doesn't even sign off. There is no name at the bottom. That's the end of it. Regards. So some similarities there. So I have a link. We're going to go show what that link does, and we're going to click further than you might be assuming that I will click. And for those of you who are worried about me, I've got safety precautions in place. I think you'll be fine with my precautions. But before that, I want to talk about what conclusions I think we can make from this. This was a little different presentation. Mine had a link. Ken's did not. What I have read via audiobooks and heard it via podcasts that I listened to about this kind of activity, my understanding of how the dark web and the whole criminal culture is doing is they are modular. They are siloed. They have people who provide certain functions to other evildoers, providing services to other evildoers. So there, I think part of this campaign very possibly has been that somebody came up with a list of email addresses for channels that commonly use other people's content, because both Ken Stout and I have done that. So are these messages only going to people who have occasionally done that, or maybe channels of, certain size parameters or some other form of profile? I think these emails are not going out to random addresses. They're going out specifically to an email address that I use for my YouTube channel, an email address that Ken Stout uses for his email address for his YouTube channel. We both have other email addresses. So I suspect there is somebody out there who has provided this content. Somebody else purchases a list of email addresses of YouTube channels that fit the profile that might be reasonable targets. That person purchasing that list will then pursue their own campaign, and I'm suspecting Ken Stout got hit by a different vendor than I did. I think the vendor that Ken Stout got hit with is using some kind of a process to start engaging a back and forth email exchange, and what their end result is going to be could be different than the end result that I was going to experience by clicking through this link and following through on it. We're going to be able to see what the end result of mine was going to be, because so happens we can do that. We can go there. So let's go show you how I'm going to do this. Let's see the rest of the emails. Oh, there's the Dave's Garage one. There was a reply from Ken Stout. I don't need to discuss that. Oh yeah, I'm going to bring up this tab because that's going to be useful. And this one. Yeah, okay. So let's go back and grab that link, tiny URL. So this is not a link to a YouTube video. There's absolutely no reason to make up a tiny URL to share a YouTube video, because YouTube provides that functionality, right? I mean, you can just go up into the address bar and copy paste that, or you can use the share button within YouTube. There's no reason to be doing a tiny URL. That is highly suspicious. So I'm Control-C, copy that, and then go to, I forgot the name again. There we go. Come over here to New Dab, go to any.run. This is a web service that essentially spins up a virtual computer, and I can pursue a link through this virtual computer. So whatever evil things might happen is not going to happen to, I want to sign in, not sign up. Yeah, that's it. And it will show everything that's happening in the registry, everything that gets installed, everything that happens. And so here what we're going to do is submit a URL, and it protects my network. The guys on the other side can never see my public IP address, because this is being sent by a virtual computer that's running on the servers at any.run. So here I'm going to paste that URL into there and run a public analysis. And I agree. Now that means that this, whatever it comes up with, is available to the public. In the upper right here, it's going to go. This is going to run for 1 minute. I can add time by clicking this button in the upper right corner if I want more time. But I don't need more time, because what has happened is it has taken me to this location right here, wanting me to verify my YouTube copyright status, instant and secure. Up here, the address is dmcahub.org. That sounds, at first glance, like it could be a legitimate address, because DMCA, that's how copyright issues get resolved, is with DMCA. Hub, reasonable name for a website. .org, it's kind of a comforting thing. It's not .jp or something, or whatever China's name is. I'm going to go ahead and add more time to this. So it wants me to verify, it wants to verify my YouTube copyright status. It wants me to put in my channel name. So I'm going to start that by putting an @ symbol and let's see, putting an @ symbol. Why is this not typing? @ symbol, check. This is not typing. Did my battery just die on my keyboard maybe? How are we doing on time? That time's okay. Plug it in, plug it in. Why, I should be able to type there. What am I missing? What am I missing? Let's try refresh, because this is an actual computer that I'm connected to. It's a virtual computer. I wonder if they changed it to requiring a paste operation. I'm going to add time again. Let's come down here. Try @ symbol and random characters. I don't want to give them I'm reluctant to give them my channel name. Nope, I can't paste it, because that alone would be enough to tell them that I responded, assuming that this website, dmcahub.org, is under their control. It's not letting me do this. Please enter a channel URL, @handle, or video link. But it's not. Oh, there it is. There's a blinking cursor. Got a blinking cursor. I still can't get anything in there. All right, so I guess I'm just going to have to tell you what I did with it. If I put in a channel name that does not exist, it objected to it. If I put in a channel name that does exist, what it then does is it takes me to another screen to log in to my Google account. And that is the target in my issue. So I did put in a email, ask for an email address for the Google account. So I did put in well, that expired. That's okay. It's not working anyway. I put in a email address, and then it asked for a password, and I put in random characters for a password. Let's see, which one did I? No. I didn't get to that point. I put in an email address that does not exist, and I clicked check, and it searched for that, spent some time, and then came back and said, that's not valid. Give me a valid email address. And I wasn't going to give it a valid email address. But the point is that it checks. That also implies that if I had put in my actual email address, it would next go to a password prompt. I would put in a random invalid password and it would object to that, ask me for the right one. When I put in the correct password, it very likely will not only test that, but pass that to YouTube and then take me to my homepage on YouTube and probably show, oh, it looks okay. See here, there's no copyright strikes on your channel. But now they have my credentials to sign into my YouTube account. Now the evil doers who are purchasing this list of credentials from the vendor who is just doing the portion of getting the credentials, then they would sell that most likely to somebody else who is going to do the last step of it, which was whatever they choose to do with it. Maybe to hijack the channel, maybe to wipe the content out, maybe to do some kind of a ransom, change the password and then send a ransom email to you. Variety of things that they could be doing with that. Now I'm saying all of that from my learnings about what the evildoers are doing these days. Okay, now this DMCA hub, that if you go to, let's see, do I have an active? No, I don't have an active. Let's go show you what happens if you were to go straight to that. If I do restart over here on the upper right, that should restart. And what I'm going to do is type in DMCA, the keyboard's working, hub.org. What happens if you just go straight to that address? Now noticing I'm using Windows 10, that's because I cannot choose Windows 11 because I have to use a paid account for that. How much does a paid account cost with them? I don't know, because they're next level up. To do a paid account, it says contact us. They don't publish it. If you have to ask, you can't afford it. How would you rate the performance? I'm going to get rid of that. So here, and that's it. DMCAhub.org. It's just this screen. That's the only thing there. Nothing else. It's the only reason it's there. So then the next thing to do would be go to MX Toolbox and see, well, who owns that? In trying to research what's going on here. And I do have a paid account for MX Toolbox. So we come over here, dmcahub.org. MX lookup is the first step that I have to do for that. And then I can do this drop down and choose who is. There, who is lookup. And then click the button for who is. And this is totally not informative, not really useful. There is a contact phone number. But I don't see anything in there of, but it is, there's also nothing there that makes it look legitimate. Registry domain ID, redacted. So I didn't go any further. I didn't even copy that into Gemini Task. Its analysis of that. Oh, then the last piece that I have on this is once I got the name DMCA Hub, then I tried a Google search for that, and I got other YouTube reports showing exactly this this scam. So this just did a fresh, and as a matter of fact, how do I want to do this? I'll tell you what. I'll just click into that and see if I can show where they show exactly that same email. Yeah, here it is. So here's what they show there. Theirs came Hugo Sulch, Schultz, SchultzHugo4 @gmail, which is not quite so, not quite as bad as the 4 digits. And greetings without any name. I want to contact you about an important issue concerning my track. I saw my track being used in your video without prior consent. As far as I understand, this use does not have my permission. Raise copyright concerns. Don't hesitate to reach out. Signed by independent artist. So, yeah, it's out there. Okay, let's see what's going on with topics. Oh, oh, I see what's going on. There's a crawl in my picture-in-picture. There, turn the topic crawl on. Topic number 5 has 1 unread, and 2 has 1 unread. Topic is far too involved here. It's regarding OTA TV channel and passing freight trains and TV signals from 2 different directions. You just gave me a, what's it called? Flashback or trauma from the past. Traumatic episode. I don't remember acronym for that. About but train traveling at 80 miles an hour departs from such and such. I thought you were giving me a word problem there. So it's too involved for him to give me any information about the prompt. I mean, next week I could, if you want to send an email, I could work through it on next week's live stream. Regarding OTA, I don't know what that is. TV channel, passing freight trains. Maybe when passing freight train affects the channel. Over the air. OTA is must be over the air. Passing freight trains and TV signals from 2 different directions. Okay, and it was trying to give you links for that. Okay, I've got to highlight that to drop it off my list of unread messages. And then go to topic 5, I believe has something. John Downey, yes, that I have 4,928 alerts. And that's a problem with security tools, is just throwing massive stuff at you. Then you'd have to learn to use the tools the same way that I've been talking about learning to use the tool of AI. If you don't learn to use the tool, you're not going to get a whole lot of advantage from it. 4,928 alerts, I'm pretty sure in that tool you have a way to filter down the alerts to get to the things that are more significant or alarming. And I'm very attracted to that tool that he's using for the purposes of being able to evaluate the performance of computers on the network. But it's not going to solve any immediate pain point for me because I don't have a problem with the performance of computers on networks. I do have issues with my own computers. So putting that on my own network so that, because the agent on the computer, on the workstations, reporting to the computer that's collecting all the information can be collecting a lot of information about that computer so that when those 2 computers crash, I can see what's going on. But I don't really have the motivation to do all that installation work because the immediate solution It's kind of easy. The situations I have is very similar to what an issue that Kerry Holzman has shown on his shows about computers just crashing, whether they're actively being used, whether they've been on for a long time or not on for a long time, just going to I think it's a black screen with a not helpful message on it. I have 2 computers doing that, and he replaced the hard drives, fixed the problem, where none of the tests that could be done pointed to the hard drive at all. And his conclusion was that if you got that type of situation, just replace the hard drive and see if that fixes the problem. That's easier to do than installing that software that provides all that information. Then is it going to provide anything that actually shows what the problem is? Let's see. No new topics, no new messages on the topics. So this computer, all right, I'll divert to go see what that one is. Bring up this screen and go to all topics, scroll to bottom. Of course, one could use AI to filter security alerts. Yeah, you could, but I would expect that the tool has that capability. You know what, since you asked that, let me go bring up a screenshot of the tool. Let's get to that over here, because I think in the screenshot of the tool, I could even see where to do that. That one? No. Okay, well, yeah, here's the screenshot that I was referring to. There is export format, reset view. Now he's only given me a 3 items here. This shows 4,364 hits at that point in time. He's got more now. Reset view, 781 available fields, so we can select different fields of information out of 781 available fields. We can control which columns are displayed, apparently, the density for how tightly packed they are. It's currently sorted by one field. It's this field over here. We know that because of the arrow pointed down. So it's sorted by timestamps. And this implies that you could sort by multiple fields and you could do full screen. So these 3 items are considered hits. Well, what are these? Syscheck event is deleted and the rule description registry value entry deleted. So that means if a registry value gets deleted, don't care what reason it was deleted, just if a registry value gets deleted, we're going to show it. That's considered a hit. So tons and tons of valid, acceptable things that is done on the computer gets recorded as hits. What is the usefulness about this? Well, you can go look at the time, around the date and time, that a problem happened with a computer and look for things that look suspicious. Now, this column over here could be made wider to where you could perhaps easily at a glance determine that that one's not a problem. Now, perhaps you could right-click on this field and say, don't show me any of these, or filter out this item, or show me only this item. So you could do different things to pare down your list of problems. This software is not, I don't think, marketed as an alert system for things that have gone wrong. I think this is a system that is a research tool for an experienced diagnostician, security analyst to go find the source of the problem. Because a registry entity being deleted, that's not necessarily a problem. This just records everything that's been going on, as is my understanding. Okay. 9 minutes ago, 10 minutes. I believe I covered everything that I had flagged. Got that one. All right, so let's see. I talked about the two troubles that happened with clients' systems this week. And that computer. Oh, so this computer, what is, I'm not going to go through much troubleshooting on it because we don't need to repair it. My current thought is most likely what that computer has is a problem with the operating system, maybe drivers, some misbehaving software, because the computer would stay on fine for a making a backup image. Now, as far as the overheating, what I could do, let's do this. Let's open it up and see if the fans are spinning. Yeah. Whoa. Oh. It's warm right now. That's a clue. Oh, I'm sorry. It is on. That's right. Because I'll show you this. I have no idea if this camera is right side up or upside down, or if it'll even display. That's not displaying. So if I go over here, that's keyboard cam's working. Workspace camera not working. And go see if I can reset that. Get it to work. Where is it? Yeah, it's not working. No, we're gonna have to go without that. All I was going to do is show you that I ran a MemTest 86 overnight. So it ran all night long and it did not come up with any errors. And I look at the power light here and it does not show to be on. So that made me think that the computer was turned off. Let's see if my lapel mic works. Now, is that working? Is that working? There, that's working. I forgot that I had to turn it on. Such a Doug. Now, so the computer is running right now, and it's pretty warm on the back here. And that is not at the location of a fan. I'm touching the fan, and my first look at it is it looked like it was running slow, but when I touched it, which would slow it down, I could tell that it's actually running pretty fast. It must have been a frequency maybe of light that's giving me kind of a strobe effect. But I see that the heat sink does look pretty dusty. And when I actually stop it with my finger, it stays stopped. I did, but it's not always staying stopped. But considering that it's just sitting at a screen right now that says pass, it ought to be not that hot. It has a Samsung 2.5-inch SSD. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, tell me I did not just, I did. When I touched the side of the computer here, I actually pressed the power button and turned it off. All right. Let's see. Here I'm turning it on, and I'm going to see if I can let it boot up to Windows. Oh, let's see. Oh, I've got to do studio mode and then look at it on the preview screen so I don't accidentally show something that I shouldn't oughta. Oh, all right. I can show this. Previous fan failure. That might have been because I put my thumb on the fan and stopped it. F1 to retry boot. F5 to run onboard diagnostics. I don't think that onboard diagnostics really works the processor very hard. Well, this is a Dell computer. All right, I'll take a look at what's on the diagnostic screen. I don't want it to do all of them. I just want to get to a point of stressing the CPU. Can I, let's see, escape to stop testing, it says. I just pressed escape. Let's see. Oh, Martin says the wireless mic has better sound quality. Um, All right, thank you for that, Martin, throwing you points for that. And I need to get to, where are there other tests? Do they give any other tests? I was expecting to get to a place where I could choose what test to run. It's only going to, oh, there we go. Cables, hard drive, CD-ROM, USB, processor, fan processor. What does that let me do? And estimated time left 5 seconds in the bottom left. I don't think it's actually started yet, has it? Did that start the test just by clicking on processor? Oh yeah, left 1 second. So yeah, apparently that did. Current high-low. All tests passed. So that wasn't useful. I don't feel interested in anything else there right now. So I'm going to exit and reboot. Oh, there. Okay, so it's rebooting. It's at the Windows welcome screen right now, showing the username. And then it went to his desktop screen. Now when he contacted me, and I can't show this. Wait a minute, I know how I could show it to you. Yeah, let's. I'll right click on the desktop. You make this bigger so I can see it. Right click on the desktop, choose View, remove the check mark for showing desktop icons. We're not seeing any of that. Go to Personalize and turn off. Let's change it to Windows Spotlight because he had a family picture there. And checking it over, yeah, that looks pretty good. So then transition that, turn off studio mode. All right, and we'll see. Now, I don't know what he was doing that would cause a problem, but it would happen within 2 or 3 minutes. And I don't think he even had to do anything at all. Let's do, I don't have it connected to the internet right now, which means I should be able to open a browser, even though it can't get to the internet. I'm just doing that I'm doing that offline because, you know, it's got its bookmarks and stuff. Okay, so here's Chrome browser. It doesn't have any personally identifiable stuff on it. So I'm not actually working it as hard as it would be if it was connected to the internet right now. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the internet, but probably not bring it up on screen. Just to see if I can get it to lock up. But like I said, I don't intend to even attempt to fix it. So we're not going to go too much longer with that. Oh, whoops. I had connected the Ethernet from a switch to the computer, but that switch wasn't connected to the internet. Okay. And what does it tell me if I do get it to lock up? And what does it tell me if I don't get it to lock up? If I don't get it to lock up, it means, could there have been an issue with the other devices that he had plugged in at the time? Could there be an issue with something in his home? Could it just be an intermittent issue? Because it actually started yesterday. It was working fine for him in the morning. And then early afternoon is when it stopped working. And within an hour after that, I had possession of the computer. And part of that quick action to going that direction is because we knew we needed to replace the computer anyway. Based upon my phone calls with him, when I'd tell him to turn the computer off, turn it back on again, he'd call back within a few minutes and saying it locked up again. We did that 3, maybe 4 times. And just thinking about where he had the computer located, could that have been an issue? Yeah, I think overheating is very, very likely scenario, very possible scenario. But again, don't care to go any further with it. All right, let's go shut this thing down. Shut the show down. Take one last look at nothing else in topics. And here, looking at the points, see what I think of that. And it looks like it's staying on one page of points, meaning currently there's only 4 people that the system thinks is active. All right, that'll do it. Turn that off and that off, off, off. Email address if you want to send information, stories of something you've worked on, questions, That's the way to do it, that I will talk about at the next live show. So have a great weekend, everybody. I will catch you later. Goodbye.
That's all, folks.
Tune in. Days a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day, we love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now, be part of the team. For Windows support and more than you've dreamed. Join the fun, don't miss a single stream. At LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts are simply where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Tune in, days a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day, we love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now, be part of the team.